Okay, let's talk about mistakes. And not the kind that are cute and teachable in the moment. I'm talking about the kind that sneak up on you when you're just out here doing your best, wearing all the hats, juggling all the things, and trying to create something meaningful. So today, I'm sharing three of the biggest mistakes I've made as a salon owner, not from a place of shame, but because I think we need to normalize that leadership is messy sometimes. Growth is messy. And just because you're making mistakes doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're in it, you're building something, you're learning. So, whether you're in the thick of it or just starting to feel the tension of growing pains, this episode is here to remind you you're not alone. Let's get into it. Hey, friend, I'm Jessica, and this is With My Whole Heart. I'm a real life woman juggling a lot of real life things, raising girls, running a hair salon, chasing big dreams, and doing my best to stay grounded through it all. If you've ever found yourself in the thick of it, somewhere between who you've been and who you're becoming, this space is for you. Here, we talk about the middle, the messy, meaningful, beautiful middle. The big leaps, the small wins, the hard lessons, and the heart-led pivots. From business and beauty to faith, motherhood, and everything in between, nothing's off limits. So grab your coffee or your tea, get cozy, and let's dive in. Because this journey, we're walking it together with our whole hearts. Mistake number one, thinking I could do it all while working behind the chair full time. Let's just start with a big one. I truly believed I could run a full salon, grow a team, and still work full-time behind the chair. I think it's a big misconception a lot of stylists have when they take the next step into ownership. From my own experience, I didn't necessarily plan on becoming a salon owner because I wanted to stop doing hair. That was never the goal. It was more of a heart pull, a calling to create something better. I believe a lot of stylists who choose to open a salon feel that same pull. They want to create something different than the culture they came from, often because there was pain, misalignment, or something that just didn't feel right. I know that's what led me to Hustle and Heart Salon. I wanted to build something meaningful, something that felt aligned, not just for me, but for other stylists too. In the beginning, we were a booth rental salon. Everyone was independent, and honestly, it was really easy. We had already worked together in the past, and we were aligned in our values. We wanted to use clean, organic, sustainable products and create a holistic, intentional space. I was still behind the chair full time, managing inventory and just collecting rent. It worked. I had brought on someone to assist me with weddings. She helped for a couple of seasons, and somewhere along the way, she realized she truly loved this industry. She decided to go to beauty school, and I was 100% supportive. I encouraged her every step of the way. Toward the end of her program, I remember thinking, this is perfect timing. We need more help in the salon, and she's almost done with school. It honestly felt like serendipity. Like everything had lined up exactly the way it was supposed to. It felt meant to be, and we were genuinely excited. So we brought her on as our very first assistant, and here's where it got messy. We were still a booth rental salon, and we didn't really know how to onboard her properly. Technically, we hired her as an independent stylist, but I was setting her hours, directing her day, and training her, none of which aligns with being an independent contractor. I want to be super clear. It wasn't shady or intentional. It was just new territory. My accountant and I were figuring it out as we went, but it became very obvious that we couldn't keep operating in this gray area. We either needed to shift her to a W-2 employee or end the assistant role. And because she was just getting started, she wasn't bringing in enough to cover rent. And honestly, I would never encourage someone to go independent before they're financially ready. We hired her on because I genuinely needed help as well. I wanted so badly to build an assistant program through this. I thought it would be helpful not just for her growth and confidence as a stylist, but also for me to get the support I truly needed in the salon. It felt aligned, so it didn't make sense to end the assistant role. So our only real option was to move her to a commission structure behind the chair and pay her hourly while assisting. Clean, legal, simple. She would have to become an employee. but it wasn't what we originally talked about. It's not what she signed up for, and I totally get how that could feel really frustrating. So ultimately, she ended up choosing to move on, and I respected that completely, but I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting. That was my first real failure as a salon owner. I had poured into her, I believed in her, I wanted it to work, but that failure taught me so much. I realized I couldn't build the kind of aligned, intentional culture I wanted within a booth rental model. There were just too many limitations legally, logistically, and culturally. So that's when we made the shift. Hustle and Heart Salon became a commission-based salon. That gave us structure, it gave me the freedom to lead with intention, and it allowed me to finally build an assistant training program the right way. So here's the thing. I was still doing hair full-time, still training, still ordering, still answering DMs, still managing everything, and I was burning out quick. I was naive to think I could stay fully behind the chair and grow a business that was bigger than just me. I think a lot of stylists go into salon ownership with that same idea, not because they want to be a CEO or scale some big empire, but because they want to create a space that feels better than what they came from. Usually the decision is born out of necessity. Not always, but often it comes from pain or misalignment or burnout from a previous culture that didn't feel right. And they think, I'm going to create the kind of salon I wish I had. And that intention, it's beautiful. It comes from love. It comes from wanting to build something better, not just for yourself, but for others. But here's the thing. Turning that dream into something sustainable takes more than heart. It takes structure, it takes systems, and it takes sacrifice. You can't lead a team and build a culture while you're trying to do everything the way you used to. You have to stretch, you have to grow, and you have to let go of control in some areas and learn to lead from a different place. Now listen, I do believe it's possible to work behind the chair and run a thriving salon. I want to be clear about that. But you need structure and profitability first. You need a front desk. You need a leadership team. You need people in place to support you so you're not doing it all on your own. And none of that happens overnight. And just to be clear, when I say you have to pull back from behind the chair, I don't mean you have to stop doing hair altogether. I still work behind the chair. I love it too much to fully give it up, at least at this point in my life. But I had to realize that I couldn't give 100% to my clients and 100% to running Hustle and Heart. Something had to give. So when you're in a season of growth, and sometimes that means stepping back just enough to lead well. So if you're someone who's trying to do it all right now, working full-time behind the chair, growing a team, leading a salon, I just want you to hear this. You're not failing. You might be doing too much, and it's okay to pause, reassess, and build better systems. You don't have to burn out to grow something beautiful. Now let's get into mistake number 2. Losing sight of my vision and identity as a leader. This one's more recent, and honestly, it's one that hits the hardest because I didn't even see it coming. Hustle and Heart grew fast, like really fast. In a short period of time, we went from a small, tight-knit crew to a much larger team. And at one point, I found myself hiring a stylist, even though we technically weren't hiring. Her application and interview were great. Everything looked good on paper. She brought a level of experience I felt could really benefit the team, and I even saw the potential for her to become a future leader in the salon. So even though I had a gut check, a little voice saying, maybe slow down, I ignored it. I told myself, you'd be stupid to not bring her on. But something that really stopped me in my tracks was that this stylist I had just hired decided to quit and leave. She was with us for such a short time, less than 2 months. And up until that point, only 2 other stylists had ever left Hustle and Heart Salon, and both of them had been with me for years. So yeah, this hit different. What really brought everything into focus was reading her exit interview. Some of her answers shocked me. I hadn't realized how disconnected she'd felt and I hadn't known she was experiencing the things that she never brought to me directly. It felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me. Like the version of the salon she described just didn't reflect who we are or what we stand for. It felt like a misrepresentation, and it left me spinning. Here's the thing about leadership. Even when something doesn't feel fully accurate or fair, that doesn't mean it doesn't hold value. I still had to point the fingers back at myself and ask, what part of this do I need to own? What can I learn from this experience? What slivers of truth are here that can help me grow and help my team grow? And what I realized is that I had let our purpose, our mission, and our core values get blurry. Because we had grown so fast, I had so many new people to get to know. And I wanted everyone to feel comfortable and supported. I defaulted to people pleasing. I tried to be everything to everyone. But in doing so, I dropped the ball. I wasn't leading. I was trying to keep the peace. And while I had trained some team members deeply on our purpose and values, others hadn't had the same foundation. And people don't want to be pleased. They want to be led. They want clarity. They want to know what's expected of them, especially when they're new. And when that clarity is missing, it creates confusion and disconnect. So I had to make changes. I simplified our mission statement into what we now call our purpose statement, just 2 clear, easy to remember sentences. And then I brought it to the team. We had a full heart-to-heart. I printed out our updated core values, and we did an exercise where each stylist identified how they could show up authentically inside each one of those values. We also started doing morning huddles. Each week, we highlight one of our core values and talk about how we're living it in real time. And I want to be clear, we're still working on this. This is a work of 2025. We're rebuilding the structures so that our culture and our purpose are truly lived, not just written in a handbook. And here's the truth. When you do this work, it will bring clarity. But that clarity might also show you where there's misalignment. It might reveal when someone is no longer the right fit, or it might require you as a leader to have hard conversations and make tough calls. But the more black and white you can make your vision, your purpose, and your expectations, the less emotional it has to be. Because now it's not about personalities, it's about alignment. Pause for a second, because not all hair salons are created equal. At Hustle and Heart, we're all about clean beauty, no harsh chemicals, no toxic color, just intentional products, sustainable practices, and hair that actually feels like you. Whether it's extensions, color, or real solutions for hair loss, it's never just an appointment here. It's an experience. Come feel the difference at Hustle and Heart Salon, where your beauty routine gets the upgrade it deserves. Learn more at hustleandheartsalon.com. All right, let's get into the last mistake number 3, letting the salon become my whole life. Okay, this one's a little more personal. It's not that Hustle and Heart became my entire identity, but if I'm being honest, it definitely started to take over my whole life. And for a long time, I didn't even notice. I think when you open a business, you kind of expect to hustle. You know you're going to be working extra hours, sacrificing things, pouring yourself into it. That's just part of the deal when you're trying to build something from the ground up. And I was totally okay with that. Actually, I found a lot of joy in the work. And for about 4 years, I was running everything pretty independently. I didn't have a front desk. I didn't have a leadership team. I just did it all. And as we grew and as the team grew, I still tried to do everything. I found pride in it. To be honest, it felt rewarding. I brought work home with me constantly, whether it was staying up late to get social media done or marketing on Google, checking emails at the dinner table, or immediately switching into work mode the second a message, a review, or anything popped up on my phone. It started to feel like I was working 24/7, and in a way I was. I couldn't shut it off and I couldn't be fully present. The wild part, I didn't mind. I genuinely loved what I was building, and if I'm being really honest, being a wife and mom just felt harder. So it was easier to pour all my energy into the salon. It came more naturally to me. And because I've been the financial provider in my home since Hustle and Heart opened, I kept telling myself this is just how it has to be. But About a year and a half ago, life threw me a curveball and it forced me to wake up. My stepdad had to have a double lung and liver transplant. It was serious. We weren't sure if he was going to make it. He was in Rochester recovering, and I had to go back and forth to be with my family. It was the first time since I opened the salon that I had to fully step away, not just slow down, but completely step out. I wasn't creating content. I wasn't showing up to lead. I wasn't even in the headspace to delegate. I just couldn't. And that's when my team really stepped up. They ran the salon without me having to be the one holding everything, and I'm so, so grateful for that. But that season changed me because when someone you love is fighting for their life, your priorities shift real fast. And for the first time, I realized the salon wasn't my top priority anymore. And I know that sounds obvious, but when you've poured so much of your identity into something, that realization hits hard. That season also triggered anxiety and panic attacks I had never experienced before. I tried medication, and while I know that works for so many people, it just didn't help me the way I had hoped. So I kept looking for other ways to support myself. I started spending more time with my family. I adjusted my work schedule, 2 days in the salon behind the chair, 2 days at home working on the business, and 1 day completely off. Well, to be honest, that still is hard to take that full day off. And while it wasn't always perfect, and it still isn't, I mean, nothing ever is, it was a start. It was me choosing to protect my energy and to be more present. I also learned to be okay with imperfection. If I didn't get the marketing done that week, it didn't get done. I wasn't going to miss dinner with my family just to finish a post, an email, or a blog. And over time, I've gotten better about putting my phone away when I'm at home. I'll even switch it to silent or airplane mode so I'm not checking emails at night or jumping on Voxer if a stylist messages me. That's something newer I've been working on because I've always wanted to be readily available, but I've realized it's not just about setting boundaries with my team. It's about showing my kids what presence actually looks like. It's about being with them when I'm with them. But honestly, the moment that broke me wide open came just a few months ago when my niece Natalie passed away unexpectedly at just 19 years old. It's still hard to talk about. There's no roadmap for grief like that. It shook our entire family and it shook me. And in the middle of that heartbreak, I realized just how far I had drifted from my faith. Not because I didn't believe anymore, but because I was so focused on surviving, building, pushing, and doing everything in my own strength. I had stopped making space to be still. And when you're in a season of loss like that, you realize really quickly you can't carry it on your own. So I turned back to God. I started doing morning devotionals, just 15 to 20 minutes of quiet time. And in the evenings, I added in meditation, prayer, and reflection. And I can honestly say it's the only thing that has truly calmed my nervous system in the past 18 months. More than any supplement, routine, or self-help tip, this has been my anchor, my faith, my connection with God. And as wild as it sounds, it's made me crave more silence, more worship, more presence, more time with Him. It's been a beautiful shift. And all of this has helped me realize I don't live to work, I work to live. And yes, I still love Hustle and Heart Salon. I poured years of blood, sweat, and tears into this space, but I don't want to miss the things that really matter. I don't want to let this beautiful thing I built take me away from the people I love. And I never want to confuse my work with my worth again. This is why it's called With All My Heart. Because your business can be a reflection of your heart, but it should never replace it. And I want to be honest here. This is still something I'm working on, like actively. This isn't a mistake I've conquered or moved on from because of how much I love what I do. It's really easy for me to fall back into those old habits, to stay late, to keep saying yes, to keep pouring into the salon because it feels good and it comes naturally. But with the help of God, I'm learning how to pause. I'm learning to check in with myself. I'm learning how to make sure my priorities stay aligned with what really matters. And that's something I'll probably be working on for the rest of my life, but that's okay. Because the best version of me, the most grounded, present, joy-filled version of me starts with faith, boundaries, and coming back to center over and over again. So, yeah, those are three of the biggest mistakes I've made as a salon owner, and honestly, they're still teaching me today. Each one brought me back to myself in a different way. They reminded me that growth doesn't always look like scaling or success. Sometimes it looks like slowing down, letting go, and learning how to lead from a more grounded, peaceful place. If you're in the thick of it, navigating your own version of burnout, misalignment, or growing pains, I hope this episode reminded you that you're not alone. You're human, you're learning, and that counts for something. And if anything I shared today around anxiety, grief, or mental health hits close to home, I just want to gently encourage you, please reach out, whether that's to a therapist, a friend, your faith community, or someone you trust. You don't have to carry it all alone. Thanks for letting me share my heart today. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Your time is valuable, and I'm honored you spent it here. I hope something in this conversation met you right where you are. If it stirred something in your spirit or spoke to your heart, I'd truly love to hear about it. My DMs are always open. I love connecting with you. And as you go, just remember, you're not walking through this life alone. Until next time, stay grounded, keep showing up, and keep leaning into the purpose that's been placed on your heart. I'll be right here, cheering you on with my whole heart.